Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Memo about Edeba PENDREAM TV's measures and any day they can our share now, but subscribe to channel and no click a bell and so the news to us on subject to me. I can't wait here. Honorable Sam Jata George and Apatu to be a Akuffo Addo and Bawumia and Yasem to Chimasa government where dysfunctional government. I didn't know what same way. Say, Mama government or Mumpeno Kurabaku is answer. ECG vata or person or mode tone canea mona, percentage tax account on near to 2 mono. ECG board because a bear day so be implemented at this jumano. And then MPP for any abandoned out to manual ECG board so is on her son 1 year jumana Parliament adja to marry at budget 2024 now to marry Canadians so be implemented. Good morning Ghana. So Sam George Abatu to be a man buying Akuffo Addo neighbor or me or Chimokas our government way and young government or penocracy sans a technocrats or moody Jumano Elka there a woman etrom and so my own doing say or munti. Me Casabi Breme Pasiaboko, Yakoti and some Sam George at it too.
Randy, if Richard said it was your question, well, it's not your question, it's an opinion I hold, that he sounds very pained and seems to be telling the ECGMD, shut up and do your job.
Shouldn't he?
I believe that...
Shouldn't he shut up and do his job?
Randy, that's going to mean that we are pushing business as usual in this country. Business as usual has pushed us into the hole that Dr. Bawumia spoke about in the video you played. And now everything that comes to the mind and enters the ears of the government people sounds good to their ears. Because Randy, I will concede that you would not expect naturally that an agency head would literally call out his supervising minister and other ministers of state in a public interview. I concede. But Randy, are we in normal times in this country? Are we in the place in this country where the normalcy should prevail? Are we not looking for a new kind of approach to our governance system? Randy, where has normalcy brought us as a people? Is it not because of the normal things we do, the acceptable norms of our governance system, that we are in this mess we find ourselves in? Because Randy, if this government was not dysfunctional, and if this government was not at its lowest when it comes to efficiency, how do you implement a policy of this nature? And stakeholders, like the implementing agency, the ECG, stakeholders like TUC that represents a majority of Ghanaians who are going to bear the brunt of this tax introduction that's going to increase electricity by 21.9%. How do you implement without engaging any of them? And Randy, this is not a one-off. It is the standard. It is the norm in this government. In the Ministry of Communication, Eslawusu wakes up one morning, decides that she wants to register SIM cards and just gives a fiat without even engaging the Chamber of Telecoms and the implementer, the NCA. You see the mess that we have. We had with SIM registration and still have today with SIM fraud. It's even increased. If you go to the Cybersecurity Authority, SIM fraud has increased since we did the SIM re-registration. So it's the same thing you are seeing in this implementation. It's the same way planting for crops. We're told they have implemented it, yet the farmers were complaining. And what have we seen? We've seen inflation shoot up to 54% on the back of food inflation. I'm giving you all of these examples to show you the poor implementation in this government. It is the same way in the Ministry of Railways. Our government asked the Exim Bank to take $2 million of taxpayers' money to buy equity shares in a company that did not necessarily even have the license to operate trains in the name of bringing us sky trains.
Without due diligence. At least that's what
yes, absolutely. So, Randy, it shows you, and I can go on and on and on and give you examples of how our governance, the normalcy of our governance system has created the mess that we find ourselves in. And so, I don't think that the ordinary Ghanaian whose electricity bill is going to go up by 21.9% is really going to be interested in whether the ECG MD has acted politically correctly or appropriately in terms of corporate governance, or whether what he is saying is something that we need to sit back and look at. It's interesting that today Richard Kudus Ayaba believes and thinks that Parliament is so holy and so perfect in our ways. Randy, I mean, I've entered my 8th year in Parliament, and if there is one thing I have come to realize, is the flaws and inefficiencies of the parliamentary system. And the fact that we have a parliament that is extremely and overly subservient to the executive. Randy, don't forget that you say Parliament gave approval to the budget which gave life to the implementation of this earlier legislation. But go back and read the parliamentary hazard of the debate on that budget and see what one half of Parliament said about the implementation. 137 out of the 275 MPs took a position that this tax handle should not be implemented. So it is incorrect. Yes, I get it when you say that the parliamentary procedure is majority carries the day. But when it is not a unanimous position of Parliament, when in the closing submission of the minority leader, Dr. Akuffo, he made it explicitly clear that the imposition of this tax will impose undue hardship on already overburdened Ghanaians. You cannot then sit and say that Parliament willy-nilly and wholeheartedly passed this bill. Randy, again, the processes of our budget approvals are problematic. I am a parliamentarian and I'm saying this, that Parliament must sit back and look at how we approve the budget.
What makes it problematic?
Randy, the budget is read 3 weeks, if you are lucky, 4 weeks to the rising of the House.
Yeah.
We sit back for another week, at times 10 days, in some instances 2 weeks. The estimates have not come. And so you literally have 10 days to scrutinize the details of all the various agencies and their estimates and expect that you would have proper work done. Randy,
but why don't you insist as Parliament that the policy statement must come with estimates? Why don't you insist?
Randy, we have made those calls severally, but when you have an
Why
executive...
don't you refuse to accept for the budget to be read if it comes without the estimates?
And that's why I'm raising those issues here, that we need to have that conversation. Parliament must come to that place where we say, we won't accept your budget to be read on the floor of the House if it's not coming with the estimates. Because we need to have enough time. Randy, look, at times I sit back as a parliamentarian and look at what goes on in that chamber, and I say, this is a joke of democracy. Listen, and I say this very forcefully, and there is no MP who has a conscience who will disagree with me. Randy, they bring us loan agreements, 600-page loan agreements. It is tabled the day we are rising. And you tell me that the finance committee go and sit down, read the 600 pages, understand it within 2 hours, process it, and do a report. Who are we kidding? Is that not an insult to the democracy we claim we are practicing? Look, if we want to change, if we want this country to work, we need to be ready to take radical decisions to change the way business has been done. But this is how we do it. Look, a minister should not be giving policy directives without consulting your implementing agency. Because you see, if the Minister of Finance...
In fact, how do you even develop the
policy without engaging your implementing agency?
How do you even do it?
And I'm giving you a plethora of instances within this government. So it's like the norm. They go and sit at cabinet, after drinking tea, they take a decision, and then they just come and throw it at everybody. It's announced by the minister. Implementation is not their business. And so, you see, we are in a place where it is difficult. And Randy, you played a tape. You played a tape this morning. I'm going to repeat verbatim. You play it always. It's by my big brother, the CEO for NPA. What's his name? Sheikh
Hamid.
Mustafa Hamid.
Yeah.
If you reach a certain stage and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, then we are doomed. This is where our country has gotten to, and wallahi, we have to rescue this country. I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian. Sheikh spoke prophetic words.
Sheikh Doctor.
Hamid spoke prophetic words about the government he was going to be a part of.
He was referring to your government.
Yes, but you see, if he thought we were doomed then Randy, what are we in now?
We are doomed.
In fact, doomest. Because, Randy, wallahi, you can't tell these people the truth. If you look them in the face and tell them the truth, they hate you.
Like Dubik.
Dubik may not, he may not, you said it's above his pay grade. You say you don't disagree. Listen, wait, Richard. No, Richard. You say you don't disagree with what the technical things.
Yes.
No, but Randy, you can play the tape again. You said it is beyond his pay grade.
Yes.
But I have not said anything wrong. I'm just repeating what you said. Oh, I didn't say you hate him. I quoted Dr. Mustafa Hamid. You hate what he said. What he said has left you pained. And so you see, yes, Dubik may not have used the right platforms. He may not have said it in the right manner. He may not have quoted it in the way that we would expect in corporate governance. But the substance of what he has said, Andy, are we interested in the substance or the form? And that is where we have gotten to, where everything that they think and hear and process is music to their ears, like Dr. Bawumia said. And so we need to ask ourselves, Randy, you are charging VAT. Randy, how is it that you want to charge me COVID levy on electricity? Do you know that COVID is part of the tax? Yes. The tax handle. Yes. Like, Randy, it's a serious matter. You are charging me COVID levy.
Because during COVID, you got free electricity.
Randy, who got free electricity?
Didn't you enjoy it?
Oh.
And water.
Randy, what is Ghana Water's coverage of the whole country?
I'm saying you.
Me, I did not.
How?
I did not. How did I get?
At Tesano and Pram, you got free water.
No, there is no water flowing in Pram. Ghana Water doesn't flow to my hometown of Bawumia.
Oh, but Tesano you got.
In Tesano I got. And do you know what has happened to my water bill since then?
What has happened?
It has tripled what I was paying. So I am paying more for water and still paying the taxes. So Randy, look, maybe people need to understand that this thing is not just the 15% VAT everybody is talking about.
No.
It is 15% VAT. You are paying 2.5% get fund levy on your electricity. You are paying 2.5% national health insurance levy on electricity. And you are paying 1% COVID levy. Randy, what has my electricity consumption got to do with get fund?
The directive.
What has it got to do with national health insurance? What has it got to do with COVID?
The directive by the ministry on how it should be calculated means that you end up paying
21.9%. And Randy,
and it's not just on electricity.
No.
Insurance.
That's everything.
Insurance. So your car insurance, your insurance on your house, again burglary, fire, and all that.
So Randy,
you're supposed to pay VAT.
Randy. So more people will not do car insurance. When police catch you, you pay 50 Ghana and go.
No,
that's what's going to happen.
The police won't collect it. They will arrest you and prosecute you.
Have you seen the number of pockets on the police uniforms?
It's not for that. That's not there for a long time. It's not the purpose.
Randy, no, but you see, the point I'm making here is that government is cutting its nose to spite its face.
You know, that's why I played the tape where the vice president, then in opposition, was talking about how the previous government, he believes at the time, with the tax burden, had overtaxed everybody, and that it was strangulating everybody. And that's not how you do it. You need to have a global perspective. They were bringing something different, and that you need to create a conducive environment for the people to produce, to employ, and then you make money from the income taxes and the corporate taxes. But you don't go imposing the taxes on them, which will not spare, production development, and all those things.
You see, Randy, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, alias Dr. Timothy Bawumia, must become the subject of academic study. University of Ghana Business School, Side Business School, in Oxford, the leading business schools must study and use them as a case study of how theory does not match practicality. especially in an African or third world economy. How you do not take theory of a book, wax lyrical with it, become MC Bawumia like a rapper. I mean, rapping and rattling economics theory. And then when you are faced with the reality, you backtrack. Look, Randy, we can have a whole week of your show and it will not suffice to just pick the words of Dr. Bawumia, either in interviews.
Let's stick to this one.
Either in interviews or in lecture series at Central University, and then juxtapose what he said with what he has overseen.